Rise and shine!
I got hairy legs.
Sometimes the words don't come out of your mouth the right way.
They know. They know. They know I know.
There comes a time in every friendship when you have to say, I never liked you, get lost.
Thanks for the advice.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Me, I always tell it. Even when I lie. You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent.
Here we go.
First thing is I want to see us export more jobs.
And the way you treat other people are horrible.
It's the fly in the ointment, Hans. The monkey in the wrench. The pain in the ass.
If I were the man I was 5 years ago, I'd take a flamethrower to this place!
You kidding me?
Let's have an equipment check. Weapon? Let's keep it simple. You got your boots on, you can walk into combat. Let's go.
He won't sell anybody out to buy his future!
Say what?
I show you how to order!
All of you relax. This is a matter of inconvenient timing, that's all.
Hey everybody, James Baldini here. So glad that you checked in with us. Tonight we're going to have a pretty spectacular show. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for checking us out. The importance of what I'm doing now, even though I'm not running for office, I've made this clear to you before. I'll say it again. I'm still in the fight. Even though I win, lose, or draw, I promised you that I was going to still continue the fight. And here we are tonight, continuing that fight. Just a couple things we're going to be talking about. One of the things I want to talk about, of course, is to do with our AWOL representatives. Where are they? They haven't shown up. We'll talk about that in a minute. And also, are we going to go back to school in September? Should we go back to school in September? Those are going to be the two main areas that we're going to discuss. So let's dive in first. You know, in my mind, the reason why I ran and the reason why I'm still fighting is we have elected a president who is going to fight for us. We know his America First agenda is solid. We know he's going to step up and fight back against the left and, more importantly, fight back against those outside the border who want to destroy us, like China, and those countries that want to replace us, like India, and the other foreign countries that have been stealing our jobs, that we've been shipping over these jobs to other countries at the behest of many people here, our Wall Street bankers and lawyers and financial guys who want to make who are finding it more important to make a dollar than you and I being able to have an economy that's strong. So, the reason why we fight isn't just because we don't like what the left is doing to us. The reason why we fight is we put America first. We need to save our country. We are in a cultural war against those who want to change and alter. They're not hiding it. They are very clear that they want to alter our way of life, that the way that we have been living for the last 200 plus years is bad. And what we've done for the last 200 years is bad, and they want to change that. They want to create a society that's some dopey utopia that's built up off of their woke way of living. And we're not going to accept that. We're going to fight back against that. You and I are very clearly not going to stand for that. And that's why you're here watching me right now. So God bless you for showing up. But I got to ask you, where are our representatives? We're the ones who elected them. We're the ones who said, go fight for us. We donated to them. We voted for them. We've supported them. We've defended them to the harsh critics of the left. And now, we had 2 years when the Republicans controlled the House, they controlled the Senate, and they had the presidency. Did we get rid of Obamacare? No. Did we decrease the size of government? No. Why? It wasn't because Trump didn't try. He did try. Did we get a wall? He had to make the wall happen. The conservatives, so alleged conservatives, didn't do it. The Republicans didn't do it like they said they would. Why? Because they're not invested in it. Those who are holding office those first 2 years, the Paul Ryan crowd, they're not interested in working with you and me. They're interested in keeping their pockets filled with money from those Wall Street guys who want the cheap job labor market and also want to be able to ship our jobs overseas. The Paul Ryans of our party are the ones we are fighting. Not only just the left, we're also fighting the Paul Ryans of our party. So if you think that if you agree with them, you are in the wrong place right now. You're going to sit there and cry and whine about what I have to say, because I'm not going to be pleasant when I talk about the Paul Ryans of our party, or let me say the Mitt Romneys of our party. They're just as bad. The ones who are more into themselves and fulfilling their own dreams, making themselves look bigger than they are. Those people are the ones that we're also fighting against. The ones who run for office so they can make their egos bigger, so that they can get on camera. I ran for office for the single sole reason is I wanted to fight for our country, fight for you, fight for the people of our country. They run for office so they can make their heads bigger, so they can get more attention and have the spotlight on themselves. That, make no mistake, that's the reason why Mitt Romney, John McCain, that's the reason why those guys did that. They did it so they can make themselves look important. They were very successful at it. They were very successful at fooling you and fooling me. But as my father would say, poop on me once, I'm cleaning up. Poop on me once, your fault. Poop on me twice, my fault. So I'm not going to let that happen to us anymore. At least for me. I can't speak for you. You're going to have to make that decision. Do you find it acceptable that the Mitt Romneys and the Paul Ryans of our party are the ones who are setting the agenda? Because I'm not. I want America first. There's a number of people out there, and around us that are fighting for America first. And just to be clear, this broadcast is not built around just like my hometown. This broadcast is for everybody in the nation. Share this with your friends. You know who I am, or if you don't, learn about me. My name is James Baldini. I want to tell you that we are fighting the good fight because we are fighting for the greatest country in the world. No other country in the world has freed as many people as this country has. No other country in the world has made everybody's lives better than the people of this country. No other country in the world has stood for freedom and the core beliefs of being free, liberty, and justice than the people in this country. So when I see groups like BLM and ANTIFA destroying our cities, when I see that bothers me. It should be bothering the people we elected to defend us. But where are they? Again, absent. So be very careful who you're voting for this year. Be very careful when you're voting. Of course, vote for Donald Trump. He's the man. He's the Mac Daddy. President Trump is the man. He should get your vote. Why? Because he's already put America first. He's already put himself second, third, fourth. He put America ahead of everything. By running for office, he has shown, and by standing up for what he's believed in, and also governing like a true American does, putting more money in the pockets of the people, the average ordinary person, instead of the Wall Street bankers. He stood up to China. He stood up to the left. He's building the wall. Despite everything thrown at him, this man still moves forward, still pushes back against the left, and we need to support that. Is he doing a perfect job? He would even tell you he's not. He's even said he's not doing a perfect job. He knows that. But every little bit that the left can do, they will to try to take away from him. And now I'm going to move on to my second topic because I don't want to belabor that too much. I do want to point out something, though. That every chance they can, they will build up their lefties and they'll try to take away from us on the right. They'll try to hurt us in every chance they can. I want to be clear about something. Before I go any further, I'm holding in my hand an article from NorthJersey.com, which is also the Bergen Record, which is also the New Jersey Herald, and also a part, I think it's Gannett News. I want to get to a point here. I'm going to go into the article a little bit more. The article's name is Exclusive New Jersey Teachers Union Head Says It's Not Safe to Open Schools in September. It is by Mike Kelly from NorthJersey.com. They make a very strong point. Now, the point here is they want to try to knock the president, because I'm still on that topic, even though I'm going to switch in a few minutes to talking about schools. In this article, they're talking about schools and about how President Trump is pushing for us to have schools open as they were last September. Open them up, get them open, get the kids back to school. We need to educate them. Clearly, we do, by the way. I mean, have you seen what they're doing in the streets? Have you seen them tear it down? I'll get to that in a minute. Let's not distract from this. These guys, this NorthJersey.com has no problem trying to belittle or mock the president because they go on about how it's dangerous for these kids to go back to school, how much it's a danger for these kids to go to school. Obviously, they have their own agenda, but they completely ignore the fact that Governor Murphy, King Murphy, as you know him, as I know him, King Murphy has taken the same stand. They don't do that until the next paragraph. They belabor President Trump's position. They go on and on about how, the threat, however, is largely, about the president threatening to not give him money and about how it's an empty threat. They want to knock the president. And then they have later on, oh, yeah, King Murphy wants to do the same thing. He's hasn't backed off from his goal to start school in September. See, for Governor Murphy, it's a goal. For President Trump, it's not a goal. He's demanding that they step up. Do you see the difference? Even the subtle differences. They have no problem going after our president. They're so in the tank for the left that it is pathetic. It is such fake news. So I want to make sure you understand that, because we see a lot of reports coming from this leftist media talking about these fake polls. No one wants to admit that they're voting for President Trump because they're afraid their house is going to get egged, or worse. Look at what's going on. Look what's going on in our communities. We're having our streets painted Black Lives Matter, and this official state graffiti we're forced to leave that there. Even when private citizens say, "Nuh-uh, I'm painting over that." Those guys get arrested. The official state graffiti makers, they don't get arrested at all. Now let's talk about this article that I have from NorthJersey.com. I want to talk about how they're making the case that we should not open schools in September, or we should have some type of a hybrid situation, but primarily they're arguing no school would be best because this disease is very dangerous. So let's talk about, first of all, why we need to have our schools open, why it's important for education. We've, as a society, have accepted that the best way to help our children is to educate them. That's why we spend so much on public education. We put so much of our effort into public education. We do whatever we can to make public education better, right? We always hear it's for the children. Here's the deal. If it really is for the children, online learning is fine for those students who are motivated, who are going to do it, but it takes away a large chunk of what it is to learn. If you're going to have some kind of online program, you're going to have some kind of online motivator as well. Because I can tell you from experience that a kid can have on that screen a dozen different things, and they can look intently like they're paying attention to that teacher, while completely zoning that teacher out and playing a game, playing whatever game, playing with Google. This is why even in classrooms, teachers have to go around making sure if students have their Chromebooks open or their computer open, that they're actually staying focused. This is why many schools have invested in programs that monitor these screens so that a kid can't have all these different tabs open and focused on these different tabs instead of the work they're supposed to be working on. Why would we invest all that money if we're going to then make sure that having to make sure that kids are going to stay focused? It's because kids of any age are going to do the same thing that many adults try to do, multitask, do their own other thing, not be focused, try to be focused on something else, or just goofing around with their buddies. So for us to sit here and say that there's going to be an education going on, we're whistling in the wind. You're whistling in the wind, which means, by the way, for those who don't mean it, which means it's not going to happen as well as you think. Sure, there's going to be a segment, maybe even a large segment of kids that are going to be invested in that because they want to have good grades. But then there's going to be a whole other segment of the population, a large growing segment of the population, the longer it goes on, that are going to say, I don't have to worry about this. I'll just copy the answers from somebody else, or I'll get the information from someplace else, or I'll Google it and get the information that way when I want to later on. This is not, I mean, so there's a lot of faults. Don't believe that it's the only way. Even when you have teachers observing and making sure, there's still going to be the kids who get away with it. No system is perfect. And I'm not trying to say we're going to find a perfect system, but I'm saying the best system is the classroom. That's what it's been. That's why we had one-room schoolhouses. That's why you can see all the better, education when teachers are directly involved. And if you have an online presence, it's not going to be the same. It's just not. No matter how much you want to fool yourself into thinking that. So this may be, I want to make sure that needs to be the foundation of the rest of the conversation. So let's talk about this. Many of you know I teach. Many of you know that I am an elderly man, not ancient, not a senior citizen, but I am certainly within the range of those who they're worried about. And I say, let's go back to school all the way. Let's go have the kids all come in full schedule. That's my personal opinion. I'm ready to go. In fact, I'm excited to go. You know why I'm excited? Because our students need it. Not just because of teaching, like I explained before, but because you look at the streets, they're burning and torching and destroying statues that they really have no knowledge of what they're doing. They just they're the mob. They're just saying, somebody's pointing and saying, destroy that. They do it because it's fun or because they want to. They don't understand. I mean, this is why they deface the 54th Massachusetts Regiments. The Antifa goes after this Massachusetts regiment that was a black regiment. It was filled with black soldiers, and they wrecked it. They wrote graffiti all over it, and they did it in the name of equality. They did it in the name of Black Lives Matter. They did it in the name of oppression of black people. Yet they did it to a monument to black people. They did it to all kinds of people. They're doing it to Abraham Lincoln, the guy who died freeing the slaves. Ulysses Grant, who stood as the general, who was the only general able to defeat the South and thus defeat slavery. These kids don't know that. Or if they do, they're ignorant of the consequences of what they're doing. And I think that has a lot to do with our education or lack thereof. And there's a lot of education. And you listen, I'm not going to sit here and say, well, you're not in all these classrooms. No, I'm not. I've heard the stories. I've heard people tell me about, and you've seen the stories too. There's a lot of ones that make the news and that everyone hears about. There's a lot more that they don't make the news. But the thing that you don't hear about is, where are the textbooks saying? What are they saying? Where are they coming from? What is, and really the textbooks in our country come from Texas and California, the two largest markets. That's where they come from. So make sure that you understand that, California is going to have its tinge of it, and so's Texas. And don't think just because it comes from Texas, it's going to be conservative, because it's not. Because the biggest markets in Texas are not conservative. Biggest markets in Texas are the liberal bastions of the cities. So they're not going to be some conservative counterweight to California. Get that out of your head. It's another liberal model coming from. So our textbooks are written by a group of liberals. So the textbooks that are taught in classrooms, whether it's online or not, that's what's going to be a major problem for us going down the road. And this is what's being taught in our classrooms. So go check out their textbooks. See what they're saying. See what they say about people like Reagan. See what they say about who took down the wall, or who beat Soviet communism. Is communism good? Is collectivism good? Look at what they're saying. You're going to be surprised. I know I was. Let's move forward let's talk about some of the things about this disease, because I only have a few more minutes on my video cast here. I want to talk about the statistics on how many people are dying. So let's pull up. I have a copy. I just took this a couple minutes ago. You can see, look, I shrunk to something very tiny. This is directly from Google, by the way. You can see these numbers, and I should have probably done a screen share of this. This is, you can see the rate of deaths, and these are the death rates. So today we had 309. Not every death is bad, and I'm not trying to minimize that. And please don't think that my suggesting we open the schools is death sentence. I'm not suggesting that at all. Listen, I'm in the line of fire just with who I am. I will say this. Today, the latest statistics, in 1 year, 647,000 people die from heart disease. Just for the number, that's 1,772 a day. All right? We have for a year, if we take the numbers, because we're at about a quarter from, a little over a quarter, but I'm going to say a quarter of the year that we've had COVID, we've been in lockdown at least. It's actually more than a quarter. It's more like a third, right? But we'll go with a quarter. So we're going to make the numbers bigger. If you take what we've had die as of today, that is 572,000 is what we can project out for the year. So that's 572,000, not an insignificant number. If the numbers stay consistent throughout and they're not, and I know that. I'm not suggesting that they will. But that's still, in that number, it's less than the number of people who are going to die of cancer. Now, my mother passed away of cancer. My father passed away of diabetes, which I'm going to get to in a minute. I have diabetes too. The thing that you should keep in mind is 1,662 die a day of cancer. 1,662 for strokes. Now, there's 790,000 strokes a year. Of that, 140,000 people die a year. I can go on with these numbers. Diabetes is 79,000 that die a year. We have a lot of things killing us in this day and age. There's a lot of things that can kill you, and it completely not a little bug. I don't see us level the same kind of push for heart disease, to cure heart disease. I don't see us pushing out drugs on a level to get heart disease solved. We've had heart disease for decades, for the entire life. Since mankind came into the industrial society, we've had heart disease. And even before that, people have died of heart attacks. And yet, no one is coming up with a way to fix that. You can look at that any way you want. Maybe it's bad choices, whatever, that's causing it. But it still hasn't been cured. Neither is cancer. Neither is diabetes. Neither is the long list of things that I have on my piece of paper. Alzheimer's, strokes, influenza, kidney disorders. These things have not really been cured. I mean, I guess the influenza, is still part of it. We still haven't cured it. We still have a vaccine that we have to come up with every year. So where are we going to stop hiding from this disease and start fighting back against it? We were promised at the beginning of this, when we were first locked down, we were promised that we were going to be locked down just to flatten the curve. Okay, 2 weeks. No one believed 2 weeks. No one believed 2 weeks. But we did know that if we all got sick at the same time, it was going to overwhelm our medical system and cause it to crash. And that's why we accepted the lockdown. We accepted the lockdown because of that. And now here we are, 4 months later, they still want to lock us down. They still are having these major restrictions on us, and they're talking about locking us down again. Why? The curve has been flattened. What we need to do is we need to let people out, because the longer we're locked up, the more we're going to have subsidiary problems. And, we need to make this happen. And we have had, the governor's been kind enough to certain things to happen, to allow certain things to open. But let's be honest, this guy's a dictator. He's not interested in anything but his own power. And I'll close on this. Our governor, he is something else. Not anything kind. I'm not going to say anything kind. I watched this guy for the last year plus, and he is in his glory right now. He is loving screwing over the people of New Jersey. And a lot of people want to blame President Trump for what's happening. But I got to tell you, he's the only guy who played straight with us. He said right off the bat, I'm not going to force states to do what they don't want to do. I'm leaving it to the people on the ground to make the decisions, to make the good decisions, because he understands dictating from the top is never successful. And so he said to the governors, please, you're in charge of your state. And then this guy kills off how many thousands of senior citizens for his own ego? He's another one who likes to hear himself talk. He likes to be the guy, the center of attention. He likes to be the center of attention. He knows that he's gaining so many points by being the center of attention. It's sickening. And to allow this guy to continue to do this, the assembly votes against, having, or votes for having limits on his executive orders. The Senate better do it, but we better have a supermajority, because the only way it passes is that this guy is willing to have them back him up. But I want to put all that aside. Do you realize that he is ruling by dictate? That is not only that's simply an unconstitutional way of running. If President Trump ran the way that Murphy is doing it, the left would be up in arms. They would be rioting in the streets. And you know what? Conservatives would be rioting with them, because we don't like that kind of rule. We don't like it when government tries to tell us how to live our life. That's exactly what's happening. You can't go out. You can have only so many people at the grocery stores. You're not going to be able to open your schools. I mean, at one point he had parks closed. At one point he had everything closed. This is not the way you run an open and democratic society. This is the way you run a closed totalitarian society. And that's exactly what he wants, a totalitarian society. You don't run an open democratic society that way. You run a totalitarian society that way. And that's exactly what Governor Murphy's doing. He's running a totalitarian society. He's running it against us. He's dictating to us. He's telling us how to live our lives, and he is not backing down. And how dare you stand up to him? He'll get the same judge to go after you. He's got his pet judge to attack us. If this is how you want to live your life, there's a country in South America that's looking for you as a citizen. It's called Venezuela. They got openings. Go there and watch people around you starve. Our country needs to be opened up. We need to be fighting against this disease. I know it's not, some of you may not like that, and I love you for it, but that's why you're entitled to your opinion. Under Governor Murphy, not only you're not entitled to your opinion, but you're not allowed to go out and protest unless it's his opinion that he agrees with. You're not allowed to go out there and fight for your opinion unless it's the opinion that he agrees with. Stand with me. Do me a favor. Share this message. Send this to your friends. Message it to them. Share it along as far as wide as you can. This is how we fight. We get the word out. These are the common sense pamphlets of the revolution. Tom Payne's reaching out. Me and the other people out there that are doing their videos, we're reaching out and standing up. God bless you. One last thing I want to say. July 30th, there's a rally down in Trenton. Be there. It's an Open New Jersey rally. It's defending us. Be there and make sure you get the word out that we need to stand up for our country. We need to stand up for our states, and we need to send a message to the legislature, the Senate, and also to the Assembly, the Senate, and the governor. We need to send a message to all of them. Sign the letters or sign the bill, agree with the bill to limit the governor's authority. We need more of them to go along with this. Otherwise, they're not really representing us. They've stopped representing us. They're instead letting the governor run like a king. If they're not willing to take authority back, then we're going to have to change the people who are representing us. Fight against them. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the way it's being run right now is a totalitarian state, not a democracy. Because a democracy lets the legislature decide if these executive orders stay or not. Not one person, not an oligarchy, but a true legislature decides it. Not one person or an oligarchy. God bless you. God bless President Trump. God bless every step you take. Have a great night.
Rise and shine!
I got hairy legs.
Sometimes the words don't come out of your mouth the right way.
They know. They know. They know I know.
There comes a time in every friendship when you have to say, I never liked you, get lost.
Thanks for the advice.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Me, I always tell the truth. Even when I lie.
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent.
Here we go. First thing is I want to see us export more jobs.
And the way you treat other people are horrible.
It's the fly in the ointment, Hans. The monkey in the wrench. The pain in the ass.
If I were the man I was 5 years ago, I'd take a flamethrower to this place!
You kidding me?
Let's have an equipment check. Weapon? Let's keep it simple. You got your boots on, you can walk into combat. Let's go.
He won't sell anybody out to buy his future!
Say what?
I show you on order!
All of you relax. This is a matter of inconvenient timing, that's all.